Welcome to another episode of the Weekly InSalt. It is episode 336. I love that I had to look at the screen when we just discussed that, but that's because I'm truly not professional at anything. I'm stoked today. I'm here with Ches. What's up, man?
Not much.
I'm here with somebody who can see and is not deaf, Curt.
I am.
Yep.
But I'm also here with one of my favorite guests that I think we've ever had on the show, Eric, man.
You say the sweetest thing.
Yes.
Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
To give some history right off the bat, I guess, on episode 301, I would highly suggest that you hit pause on this episode right now and go back to 301 and listen to that episode first. Eric's he has one of the most interesting ways of being raised, being brought up in the world, because you're legally blind and your parents are deaf.
Yep. God has a sense of humor that way.
Yeah, totally, dude.
It's kind of like, hey, guys, watch this.
When we first met Eric and brought him on the show, we, of course, want to be sensitive to anybody who, is like blind or deaf. Yeah. We don't want to make jokes about it. And Eric was like, no, that's not okay. You're going to unload on me, and we're going to laugh about things.
Absolutely.
So go back and listen to episode 301, because there are some great ones in there. Curt has one of the greatest jokes of all time in that episode, I think. You'll hear it. It's awesome. And then we'll just sit here for like 2 seconds while you pause, and then when you come back, we'll continue.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad you heard that episode. It was great, right?
That was a great episode. Yeah.
And now we get to continue with Eric, and I've been looking forward to this, man. Curt we tried scheduling you, I think, on a Friday, and Curt, you came down with a cold.
I did.
The plague has been hitting this entire state. Even I'm getting over it right now. It's been crazy.
This winter's been a little bit different, too, because it's been abnormally warm with, like, no snow, and yet we still got the inversion for, like, a good solid couple weeks there.
Well, I mean, if you're not breathing in like trash and microplastics, I mean, like, what do you do?
You're exactly right. Everybody needs that. Like, if you don't get cancer at some point, like, come on, you need to be like.
I've had cancer. It's there. You do with it. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I just want to Eric, I just want you to like pop your eye out. Just
do you want me to take it out for like the show?
No, you don't.
Okay.
That's just like an intrusive thought that I had. That if I could pop an eye out, dude, I'd be doing that shit all the time. Like at dinner with people I don't know.
Oh man, dude, I have a bunch of crazy stories like popping that thing out. Like I
think on the last episode you talked about the trick or treating.
Trick or treat. I did the whole thing in 8th grade where I ended up in school suspension. Very sorry to that teacher. You know who you are out there. If you're hearing this, I am truly sorry. But no, I definitely have a really good time with it. Something I've been working on a lot recently. I've recently transitioned to doctors, right, that make these eyes for me, and so he's a super cool guy. I really like him, but we've been working on ideas of like various eyes to do. So like, obviously people who can't see us, right? Like my normal eye color is brown, but my prosthetic eye is blue right now. So it's super cool. We're talking about doing an 8-ball eye, which would be sick.
That is sick. I like that.
I would say, I know we did talk about, you guys did, I wasn't here for the last episode, but you did talk about that a little bit in the last episode. And that was one of the questions I was going to ask. Did you get one of your trick?
Not
like
quite
8-ball
yet.
or?
Like, we've been talking about doing the 8-ball. For those who are familiar with like Cyberpunk 2077, that video game, right? We've been talking about doing cyber eyes and everything.
I wonder if we could collaborate with somebody to make some electronics that can go in there too, so that it like glows and shit.
That. So like what we were talking about recently is like we would do like all black, so like a completely black eye, but then we would inlay the iris, which is the colored part of your eyeball, right? We would inlay that with blue tritium, right? So like tritium that just glows in the light and the dark, right? The biggest problem is he was kind of like, all right, like I love this idea. I'm just kind of thinking of it through like. We were just talking about cancer. Oh, yeah. No,
just try to get up on there.
Yep. We were talking about this recently. He's like, well, I don't know, like, as being a cancer survivor, which is awesome, I don't know if we should put a radioactive isotope by your brain. It kind of seems like it could be a bad idea.
But you know what? I think that we need people like you to be ballsy enough to do things like that.
Yeah, I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah. Like, I mean, shit, you've already been dealt a hard hand. Like, if the tritium ain't going to get you, you know?
Invincible at this point.
Yeah, damn right. Oh, man, I'm so happy you're here. Like, I don't think that you understand. I was telling Curt, I'm like, dude... And to the listeners, too, thank you, because I've heard from a lot of you about how great you think Eric is and his sense of humor. I know I've been talked to by plenty of people that, like, just have so many questions about it because you're so open with the fact that like, you know, and I think we got into it a little bit last episode, but the reason you're that way is because you've had to deal with it, you know, like your whole life.
It's just kind of part of life. And like, I think I mentioned this during the last episode, right? Like I would rather just laugh about it, right? No, I'm not going to like hide it, right? Like I definitely spent a good number of years like trying to figure things out. Like it definitely has its like sucky times, right? Like I don't want to take away from that experience at all, but I think ultimately like learning to kind of laugh and just have a good time, right? And just kind of embrace it for what it is has been like honestly a kind of a healing thing, as cheesy as that might sound, but it's been healing for me. So
and I love that. And now that we've set the stage and everybody knows that he's totally fine with what's about to happen. I talked to ChatGPT and I asked it to give me, let's just take the ride together, because I thought the whole thing was hilarious about how it handled it. I prompted ChatGPT because I wanted to see how dark it would get, how mean the AI would be. And I said, a guest on the Weekly InSalt podcast, of which I've trained ChatGPT to understand what this show is.
Has it given you a rating on the show? Like
I could ask it after this. I think that's an awesome idea. Yeah. It's probably like, your guys' show is dog shit.
How do we fix this?
Yeah. Please do the show for me, ChatGPT. But I said, a guest on the Weekly InSalt podcast this week is legally blind but was raised by deaf parents. He wants us to make some jokes about his condition. Do you have any suggestions? And it lectured me. It said, making jokes about someone's condition, especially one as a personal as being legally blind or having deaf parents, should be approached with sensitivity and respect.
Oh, I see.
If your guest specifically requested it and is comfortable with humor about the experiences, here are a few lighthearted suggestions. So I immediately skipped all of those, and I said, this guest is not sensitive to his condition, so don't hold back. And some of them are good, some of them are dumb, but let me hit you with a couple and see.
When I was asked to come back, that was one thing I was super excited for. I was like, you guys got to hit me with some new content. I've heard them all. So
well, now we've got the whole power of AI being way too sensitive to tell some jokes, but some of them are good. Being legally blind means I'm the ultimate hide and seek champion. I've been seeking my keys for 3 years.
Which is a fantastic throwback to my driving story.
Eric
does not own a set of car keys, for the record.
Yes, he does. But he has driven.
Any law enforcement out there, Eric does not own a set of car keys.
Can I get your ID? Can I get your driver's license, sir? I don't have one. Why? Because I told you I'm blind.
I'm blind.
And then it separated the jokes into legally blind jokes and then about deaf parents.
Oh, good. So we have categories.
One that I thought was funny, but like particularly like weird, is saying, growing up, my parents and I had a lot in common. They couldn't hear, and I couldn't see their disapproving looks.
You know what's sad about that is how true it is.
I don't know. And then I tried to get it to go into roast mode. Like, can you be a little more edgy? Like it's a comedy roast.
Okay.
And it kind of got the idea.
Yeah.
But the combo roast jokes that it had were. With you having deaf parents and being blind, you're basically living proof that communication is overrated. At what point do we keep telling these jokes and it becomes offensive? You know,
let's see how far we can go.
Okay. That's why I like you, dude. There's one more that I'll do. I gotta find it, but it weirdly brought Utah into, which is it knowing about the podcast being in Utah. But I was like, I can't believe that it made that joke. I gotta find it. I'm skimming quickly.
I mean, it's faster than me, so I mean, you know. I'm a huge fan of like the find function on that computer.
I should have just used that.
Use this giant wall of text. Yeah. Find this.
Yes, I should have done
Control
that.
Control F.
Yeah. You guys are telling me. Just kidding. Let's see. It says. Oh, Eric doesn't drive. Eric doesn't drive, which is fine because it's Utah. Nobody else here knows how to either.
You know, that kind of reminds me. So on my way here, right, like I took an Uber up here again because I don't drive, right? I take the Uber up here, and I felt a little bad because I was like, oh, sweet, I'm gonna get there 2 minutes before we're supposed to record. It's gonna be great. I'll be on time. And then I was late, and as I'm walking up, you know, Curt's waiting for me. I'm like, I'm sorry, man, this guy was kind of slow, right? Which is kind of funny to think about, that me a blind guy is just kind of judging the drive.
Yeah.
That's my Uber drive. We're on I-15, headed north and everything, and I'm just like, dude, there are two of us, and we could get in the carpool, like we could get over, we could go so much faster
jam
right now. Like, what are we doing?
I think there is like a comedy sketch in there somewhere of you like being a backseat driver. I think that's like, dude, just turn right here. Like, dude, you can't fucking drive.
Yeah, the blind navigator.
Yeah, I think that's.
I've actually kind of pulled that card a couple times in Uber rides, right, where they're just kind of like, what does this place look like? Shit, I don't know. Like,
Yeah,
what an interesting question.
Yeah, I'm not the one to ask that one too.
About that.
And I think we talked. Remind me, but I think we talked about this in the last episode. So sorry to everybody who did go back and listen and just is now listening to this one. But how do you see the world? Is it mainly just blurs, or if you see close enough, do you kind of get clarity?
That's a great question, right? So, like, for those who don't remember, I lost my eyesight when I was 9 months old, right? I have no idea what seeing with two eyes is like, right?
Yeah.
So from what I have been told by doctors is that I see normally, but just everything is smaller, right? So as I'm like sitting at the table here, right? I see Curt over there. I can see his beautiful beard. Like, I can tell he has a beard. I can see the shadows of his eye. And this table is probably like a regular dining table type of size, right? Yeah. I can see the shadows of where his eye should be. But I have no idea. Like, he could be like sticking his tongue out at me. I have no idea, right? He could be flipping me off. I have no idea, right?
And the reason we asked is because I've been playing a lot of VR lately. And Curt and I were talking yesterday, like, I wonder if you would be able to play VR. And then I instantly made a horrible joke that was like, dude, he can't experience normal reality. Why would we put him in the fake one? Yeah. But I'm curious to know if you think that you would be able to, or I wonder what would happen.
So it's kind of funny you should mention that. I actually went to like a cybersecurity conference, right, where they had like a VR setup. I'm like, this is my chance.
I've got one upstairs that we can try.
We might have to play it and see what happens.
We'll see. Yeah, we can try.
But like, I'd always been kind of curious, right? Because like, if you think about 3D movies, like I can't see them, right?
Yeah.
Like if I put on the 3D glasses, like nothing happens, which makes those movie theaters pretty anticlimactic.
Yeah, which and then also like the movie theaters just blatantly ripping you off at that point.
Blatantly ripping me off. It's like they knew I was coming in. This Eric guy,
he needs to get sold with 3D.
Okay, well, I got to cut in really quick.
Okay,
that goes into a joke that I had looked for through chat whatever the fuck it's called.
Words. Falling apart.
Let me find it again here.
Classic Chaz, dude. Interrupts us to make us wait.
It has to do with a blind person going, or like, why don't blind people go to strip clubs?
Yeah.
Because the audio description is an ortho cover charge.
That's funny, dude. And now you're making me think of what a closed caption typer would type for like a stripper.
I have.
Not that you can read the captions. I don't know.
No. So like on VR and stuff, like I really had no idea like if I could see it, right? I'd read a little bit about the technology and how it works and everything. Some are dual screen, some are single screen. Anyway, so I go up there to do Beat Saber.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, I have that. It's awesome.
I totally like fell down. Like it messed with me like in a weird way, right?
Okay.
And I don't know if it's because of my whole like one eye thing. But
that's happened to a lot of people. I had somebody, Laura broke her rib playing VR at my house. Yeah, she for people who haven't done it, it really, your total senses are covered, your eyes are covered completely, so your peripheral vision is VR, and your brain starts to think that things in this world are real.
Yeah.
So Laura leaned on a counter that didn't exist because it was in VR.
I did the same thing when I was playing Super Hot the other.
Yeah, you did, but you didn't fall over.
I didn't fall over,
recovered,
but
that honestly makes me feel kind of good. Like I have like pretty terrible peripherals and like no depth perception or anything. So the fact that it can rob you guys of your advantage over me feels really good. Something cathartic about that.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Taylor, who he's been on the show, he's a chef friend of ours. This is maybe I'm just a piece of shit. I'm finding out because like I got VR and Taylor wanted to come play it. He's a professional chef, so I bought cooking simulator for him.
Okay.
And he was mad, but I'm like, dude, you got to play it. I mean, if anybody's qualified to be good at this, it's you. You know. Yeah. And so he's playing it. At the end of the night, he goes to like set something down and he's like lost his balance. He almost jumped out my front window. Like he hit my computer. He got up and he just looks at me and he goes, well, I guess I got to go home. But it happens to everybody, you know. Like,
well, you know, on the note of being a piece of shit, man, like the first step is admitting.
yeah, I know. I'm working through it.
Yeah,
I just find it comedic that he's a chef and he's playing VR. Like, he's being a virtual chef. He's already doing that.
It's weird how those skills don't translate. You know?
Yeah. It's almost like if we found a app or like a game where you could plug different network servers in and we made Curt play it. You know?
You know, that exists.
A game of cable management.
Yeah.
What a nightmare that would be.
That would be a nightmare. Although some of the stories I've heard from Curt, like, you know, it might turn out kind of bad. I heard a rumor. I have no idea if it's true. Maybe Curt will tell us here on the air. That he walked by a switch that was just kind of exposed at some kind of conference, and he just went up and like unplugged one thing and then just plugged it into another place to see what would happen, just to screw with it.
Oh yeah, it was a conference, or no, it was a convention.
You maniac!
Absolute havoc.
Yeah, one of the convention centers. It was like an off-road expo or whatever. I don't know, but we're walking by. There was a switch. There was a network switch sitting on a table.
Yeah,
and so I just looped it. Plugged the switch into itself.
Some poor guy.
What
is going on?
Getting paid minimum wage at a convention center to get the network working, and he's pulling his hair out.
Yeah. Let's just hope he doesn't hear this episode. He's like, I just don't know who it is. I've sworn eternal vengeance.
Yeah, well, actually, if you do hear this episode, it was Curt. Come on the show. We'll talk about it. That'll be a fun episode.
There will be an arm wrestle to settle this.
Well, if they had the right port security, then they would have just shut it down.
So with being like legally blind, I know for a fact that like blind people, you get increased senses, like your hearing, you know, you're better at hearing and things like that.
Let's go with that. Yeah.
Better at tuning people out. Which is what he's doing to me right now.
Well, you know, having deaf parents did give me selective deafness, so that's definitely true. 100%.
But I was thinking, you know, I asked ChatGPT, and when it gives me like the politically correct questions, one of them I was like, "That's a really interesting thing. Like, do you have what's like your favorite sound?"
My favorite sound?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if I really thought about that. Right. I think I definitely rely on my hearing, like the most. Right. I know some people who are like. They pay attention a lot to like their sense of like feeling, so like vibrations and stuff like that. Right?
Sure.
For me, I definitely latched onto my hearing quite a bit. My favorite sound, man.
I thought that was an interesting question that it brought up because I never would have thought to ask that.
Yeah, no, that's not even something I've really thought about before.
Is it? I think I know what it is.
Go ahead.
It's the sound of an Ethernet cable connecting into a switch, isn't it? That little.
That is a satisfying sound.
No, if I had to choose a click sound that I really like, I remember a long time ago, ANSI Labs did a Kickstarter for like the fidget cube.
Oh yeah.
And on one side it had like the gears that would like click as you like spin them.
Yeah.
That was a super satisfying sound.
That is.
And I guess I'm going off of a recency bias here. If I had to think, my favorite sound is definitely some like bass tones. So for those who remember, I started a music journey pretty early. Well, pretty close to when I recorded the last episode, and since then I've transitioned over to bass, and it's been a really good time.
Yeah, do you like it?
Oh, loving it.
Yeah,
that's awesome. One of my questions.
I was kind of discouraged to see the bass outside, and now I see that Wade's band already has a bass player. So
yeah, we do.
That's okay.
But I can always have more than one band.
That's true. We can start another one.
Curt's got a guitar.
Perfect.
I mean, all we need is Ches to sing.
I'm not solo.
Can you give us a sample here on the
solo? You can't hear me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
That sounded so good. I think Chaz's voice is my new favorite sound.
That's awesome. You reminded me of a ChatGPT joke when you said that a lot of times, like, somebody who's deaf relies a lot on vibration and stuff, you know? Mm-hmm. And let me see if I can find it. Because I was like, it's kind of fucked up that it made that joke, honestly. But let's
favorite.
I hate that there's so many. Actually, no, I can search. You guys taught me.
Oh, yeah, see? You learned something today. Yeah.
He's the only guy who can walk into a glass door at home and have his parents think it's thunder. Oh, man.
Oh, that is so relatable.
Is it?
growing up, people would be like, "Oh man, they're so lucky you have deaf parents. You can do anything you want." Like, yeah,
No, you can't.
no, you cannot. Y'all are thinking like, "Oh, you can sneak out and do anything you want." No, like somehow they can hear the window opening.
Yeah.
And or like
feel it. Yeah.
Wow, that was stupid. They can feel it. They can feel it. And so like the number of times I got caught by my mom like coming up, and I wouldn't even know, but I would like to imagine that she had this look on her face like, "Hey, you said I wouldn't catch you." But no, like music and stuff. Like I had like one of those super awesome like 3-disc changers, stereo, like Sony stereo systems, right? And I'd turn that up and be having a good time, and my mom would burst through my door, "Turn that down!" Like, how do you know?
It's loud enough that she can feel it. Oh my goodness. Chaz, you got other questions?
One of them he just destroyed by saying he's not playing the guitar anymore. So
Yeah, okay, that's
I
fair.
mean, I haven't given up the guitar.
Okay.
It's still on the list.
I would say that was one of the questions. I'm like, you still, you just started playing the guitar. You asked if you were still playing, but I guess you switched to the bass. So.
Yeah, I have found I was born for the rhythm section, and so I've been playing the bass a lot. That's kind of been like my main instrument, but I have a lot of instruments on my mind. Like I definitely want to pick up the guitar again and start doing that. Keys, I want to do keys.
Oh yeah,
super cool. I've even thought about singing a little bit. I mean, like, let me know in the comments how my voice sounds if I should be singing.
Well, so what attracted you to the rhythm section, like bass specifically? Is it?
Well, weirdly enough, I was actually listening to the Beatles, so thanks, Paul McCartney.
Who?
Who? I don't know who that is.
Yeah, not familiar with them.
The Beatles?
Are they new?
Google that? Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Are they like the
brand new.
Beach Boys?
Yeah, I think it might be a mortal sin to say that. I know it is. But like I just kind of found myself like really honing in on like bass tones when I was kind of listening to that. And so I was talking to a buddy that I work with, right, and he's a huge Beatles fan, and I was kind of like, you know what, let me just try it. So I went to a Guitar Center by my house. Never mind. I'm not going to make that comment about Guitar Center.
No, we actually have a listener that works for Guitar Center, so please.
No. I'm sure you are a great person.
He is a very good person.
So anyway, I was just kind of playing around with that, and I found myself just kind of loving the kind of rhythm of the groove, if you will, right?
Yeah.
And I found myself able to just kind of hone in on that a little bit better. That being said, when I work with my instructor, he wants me to start doing some guitar stuff like once or twice a month, just to keep that sharp. And I definitely would love to be like a multi-instrumentalist.
Well, I think the bass, to me, and it can be utilized in a number of ways, right? Like some bass players are insane. Like there are like Primus. Yeah. What their bass player, crazy dude.
Crazy.
What's it? Les Claypool.
Yes. Yep,
yeah, he's insane. Like
a bass player that's actually been like a huge inspiration for me. Anyone here, any listener, familiar with like the Kill Tony show?
I watched Kill Tony.
I love Kill Tony. That guy's great. Tony, if you're hearing this, I'd love to be on the show.
I'd love to be on your show.
But D Madness, if you are hearing this, you are an inspiration to me, man. So he is a totally blind bass player that plays bass every single time on the Kill Tony show.
Oh, really?
You see him in the back. He's got a fantastic Stingray that he's got there. Which
What's
is
his name
again? D Madness is kind of his stage name. I haven't been able to figure out his real name, but he is a big inspiration for me. Like when I picked up the bass and started playing that, and then I started watching a Kill Tony show, and Tony makes a couple of blind jokes at his expense.
Oh, this guy rules, dude! I love his vibe.
Yeah,
like
he's
right
so
off the
cool.
bat.
I just love this guy. He's awesome, and so he's been an inspiration for me. So thank you if you're hearing this, by the way. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that the bass for me, a lot of times, it's just kind of like a very soothing, like chill sound. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, so many songs are made way better by great bassists.
Absolutely.
And
yeah,
it's kind of underrated. It's like I play the drums, and it's funny because as the drummer, like people are always like, "Well, play something for me," and it's like I can play the drums, but it's not gonna sound cool. Without other things, like without anybody else there. But the drums and the bass player, they have to always be like in sync.
We're automatically best friends.
Yeah, dude, we have to be, you know? And that's, because of that, I have high respect for bass players. I don't know notes and scales. I wish I did. I'd like to learn one day.
I'll teach you.
Yeah, dude, I would
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
really
Let's
appreciate
do
that
that.
because,
Let's do
and I think that like you're of all people be qualified, man. You've got the ear for it. You know what I'm
do
saying?
have the ear for
yeah.
it. That is true. That is true.
And we got to help Curt learn to play guitar too. You know?
We're forming the band. It's happening right here, guys.
Hell
Anyone
yeah.
listening to this episode, this is the birth of that.
This is the birth of something crazy, and it's gonna be awesome.
So, are you familiar with the bass player Victor Wooten?
I love Victor Wooten. My bass instructor right now, his name is Dave. Dave's Rock Lab in Orem. If you guys are looking for lessons in any type of music, check out Dave's Rock Lab. That guy is fantastic. Okay, plug over.
Yeah.
But Dave actually had played with Vic like a couple of times.
Oh,
so
wow.
He's told me some amazing stories
Yeah.
about Victor Wooten, and that guy is great. He's fantastic.
Yeah, so if anybody hasn't checked him out, check him out. Victor Wooten. He's one album. Was it a Show of Hands?
Yeah.
Is
yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, I'm also a huge fan of like Marcus Miller. I actually own one of his basses right now, so yeah, Marcus Miller is also amazing too.
Do you see the? Do you feel that music has helped you kind of like open a different door into the
100%? Yeah, 100%. I feel like it's they talk a lot about like building confidence and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's definitely become like this hobby for me that like I'm super excited about. I'm still a big video gamer, right? But my video game has certainly suffered to like trying to produce music and everything.
Yeah.
On top of that too, like I've been getting into like sound engineering and everything. So I've been playing around with like digital audio workstations or DAWs for those who are familiar, right? And kind of like a lot of what Curt's doing right now. And which I just realized that we didn't give you a new nickname as VP of Sound this episode. My apologies.
Yeah, well, I kind of did, but I said that he's not blind or deaf.
Well, I did forget my glasses, so
technically
we're
we are
in the
kinda
same
blind
boat.
today.
We're in the same boat today. But yeah, so like I have thoroughly enjoyed just kind of like sound and music lately. Still working on finding a group to play with. So anyone out there is looking for a bass player, let me know.
In the band that I play in now, our guitarist, he's got a ton of people. He's got a ton of network connections with bands and stuff,
very
and I'll
cool.
see if anybody's looking for
That'd
sure.
be fantastic. That'd be great.
And I think that like I play in a punk band. It's like very Tony Hawk Pro Skater soundtrack-ish,
That's
you know?
fantastic.
And it's cool for me because that's a challenge that I haven't done before. Like I've played rock music and emo music, but like the punk beat is very simple, but it's also very technical. And it seems like punk music is simple, but you have to have your technique like perfect, which is cool. It's a cool thing to push yourself towards. But it's also very lax, and I think that's cool too. Is so we can find you like just a chill jam,
That'd be
learn
amazing.
together type of thing, dude. And that's it. It's awesome. And I think that my performance by being a very extroverted person and a public speaker and performing on stage with bands is kind of what led to here with the podcast, because I would be too shy to do this, you know? And at some point you just have to realize that like I'm never going to be the best drummer, but I'm going to do my best. And if people don't like that, whatever, dude.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. You don't even play any instrument. Like I already got your money from coming to the show.
Yeah.
Like hated it. I don't care.
I look forward one day, Wade. I super hope to see this from you. So recently I went to the Blink-182 concert here in Salt Lake last summer. And I love so much that Tom DeLonge got up and he's like, this next song is about fucking. So I hope to hear something like that from you one day.
Yeah, our
Wade.
band name is called This Place Sucks.
I love it.
Which I was kind of a joke because I'm like, I think it'd be sweet to perform on stage and just tell every venue that they suck.
Yeah.
Like, this place sucks.
That immediately hit my mind. Please welcome to the stage. This place sucks.
Yeah, this place does suck.
Yeah.
We already got your money.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, just,
See ya.
just
The
like
E Center presents This Place Sucks.
it's cool. It's like funny. But you know, that's another thing about performing on stage too, is there's nothing like it. Once you perform on stage, you go through a process, and the process is you get all your equipment, you get to the venue, you go, you're backstage, you get the butterflies, you get nervous, and as soon as you play your first note, you black out pretty much, and you just do muscle memory because you practice it millions of times, and then you hear the cheers at the end, and you're like, have the biggest adrenaline rush ever, and then you're like, I need that again.
Yeah.
And then you realize that they aren't going to come listen to your show again tomorrow. They were just there last night.
Yeah,
you know?
they
And so
just barely did that.
So then it pushes you to make new music,
Yeah,
different things.
yeah.
So I think it's awesome that you're enjoying the bass and music, and stick with that, man.
Yeah.
Because it's something that Once you fall in love with it, dude, you can't stop. You know?
Oh, 100%. Can't stop. Anyway, sorry.
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
I'm a big Chili Peppers fan. That show was fantastic last year. Flea, I friggin' love you. Anyway, so I'm really excited on this journey and everything to keep going with it and see what doors open up. It is certainly a hope for me that it'll take off and I can turn it into... It's not about the money, right? But if I could make a living off of it, that would be fantastic, right?
Yeah. And then that's when you truly don't work a day in your life because you just love
100%,
it. You know?
100%.
Yeah.
I've met some people that they have some like regular gigs just at some clubs in Salt Lake, right? And they play for like 2 hours, like 2 to 3 times a week, and they're getting like $400-600 per show.
That's
like,
awesome.
Yeah, I'm like, that sounds like a great salary.
It does sound great. And there's a lot of work that goes into that. I think, Curt, you made a comment. I was talking with James about it, but you were like, I think you asked him how long on average does it take to like get good, you know, at like playing guitar or something.
Sure.
And that's like a really interesting question. And I remember talking about it because I'm like, you know, on average, it depends on how much effort you put in. And a lot of times there's a drummer that's online. You can look him up. I'll see if I can find his name, but he's this guy in Canada who's just insane, dude. He can play beats, like the most insane beats with one hand. You know, and while he's drinking coffee and smoking a joint.
That's
like
incredible.
It just looks like he's not even trying, but it's like his regiment was, I would wake up in the morning, I'd practice drums all day until my hands would bleed, and then I would go to bed, and then I'd wake up the next day and do it. And he became amazing, and being a musician is just like exercising a muscle. You know, if you don't do it every day, or at least, you know, a few times a week, it's going to be hard to maintain it.
Oh, yeah.
But when you do, it's fun. You know what I mean? And it's very fulfilling. It's not like going to the gym. Everybody hates that.
Yeah, everyone
hates
it. Yeah, it's just like, painful. When
you write a new bass line, you're like, oh, that's sick.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's see what we can do with this.
Yep. No, I've absolutely loved it, and definitely like repetition, doing it every single day, right?
Totally.
I think the biggest challenge that I've recently started to overcome, which I'm really happy about, is like hearing myself and actually thinking, you know what, that actually sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm actually pretty happy with that. So
it's really easy to compare yourself to social media because
and that'll just kill your creativity.
Oh, totally. Because then you're like, I just want to be that guy. Like, how's he so good? They don't show you the years of practicing, you know, and stuff like that. You just get the good shit. Yeah. Which it can be demotivating, but just stick with it, and I think you'll do great, man.
Absolutely.
Let's take a break real quick. How about that?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, we'll be right back. And we're back. Weekly InSalt, episode 336 with Eric, my favorite person.
Yeah. Again, you say just the sweetest thing.
Dude, it's because like I can't
draw me in here.
I can't help it, man. You're just like the best personality. You love your sense of humor, just jives with mine really well.
Any ladies listening, Eric is single, and this is how you will get my attention. Listen to Wade.
Eric's a great dude. He'll take you to the fanciest restaurant ever. He can't see what he's eating.
Yeah. But I can show you the world. Where that is, I have no idea.
You mentioned something on the break about you, because you have your eye. You can.
Yes.
Is it technically like a prosthetic eye?
Yeah.
Is that what you call it?
Like a prosthesis.
Prosthesis.
Right.
You ever sneeze and have that thing go flying out?
Actually, yes. That has actually happened.
That's great.
There's definitely been some times where I've sneezed really hard, or like I'll cough like really hard, right? And then like the eye kind of like starts to drop. I'm like, oh crap, and I'm like,
You're like, cover your mouth. You're too busy covering your eye.
I'm trying.
I don't want my eye coming out.
Dude, especially like, I had an experience once where like there's no urinal available, so I'm just using the regular like public toilet, right? And
oh no,
I sneeze like while I'm in there, and the eye kind of pops. I'm like, shit, do not drop in there.
In the urinal? Oh my gosh.
Back. There's no way I'm getting that back. Yeah, no, that was pretty crazy. But yes, prosthesis. We were talking about on the break, like, you know, at Dave's Rock Lab, if you guys are ever there, just remember, I see all. I can see everything that's happening there. And that is because I left one of my prostheses there in my teacher's studio. It is sitting in the windowsill, and it watches everyone that goes in and out of that room. I tried to come up with something witty to tell him, like Odin, I'm giving you my eye for knowledge. And I couldn't come up with anything to say at the time.
That was
so
great.
Like, here you go. Yeah. Now it sits in his windowsill. And
so you didn't leave it there as you gave him.
I gave it to him straight up.
So
it
cool,
sits in his windowsill the whole time now.
That's a sick gift.
The all-seeing eye.
The all-seeing eye. That's right. But like I always kind of crack up a little bit. Like every time like I go there and I still see it sitting there in the window. So I wonder like how many people will be like, is that an eye? Like, what is that?
That's like a great conversation starter too. Like, why do you have an eye? Like, isn't somebody missing this?
Yeah, somebody. Does someone look a little strange right now?
You ought to just be like, yeah, I don't know. I had a group session once.
It got really crazy, man.
And when everybody left, and I just found it lying on the floor.
Yeah, now it sits here in the window.
Watching everything.
Watching everyone.
I really liked in the first half when you were talking about Cyberpunk, like the eyes that they have in the game.
Yeah.
I think it'd be sick to kind of recreate that.
Oh, yeah. When I was talking with my guy that makes the eyes, like, so one of the brands, one of the companies in Cyberpunk is Kuroshi, right?
Yeah.
So working in a way where we have to have like the Kuroshi Optics like logo going on the side of the
that'd be
eyeball.
so sick.
Cool. And so he's like, I think I could do it. I have to do like a single like brush hair, like just to like brush that in. I'm like,
because they're hand painted.
Yeah. They're hand painted.
Those guys have to be so talented.
I think the coolest one I've seen, like this one wasn't hand painted, but what he did, he was able to basically take one of these prosthetics. And so like for those people who've never seen one, right, they're kind of like a dome, right? They sit, they're not like a full eyeball like you see on Pirates of the Caribbean. It's not like that at all, right? It's kind of like a dome that sits over like a little implant that I have in my eye socket, right? And the whole idea is the hope that can like actually move because your muscles grab onto the implant and everything.
Yeah.
Anyway, to get to the point. The guy that I see now, his name's Travis. He's a super cool guy. But he had a client say like, I want a Terminator eyeball.
Yeah, who doesn't?
So he's like, all right, I don't know how am I going to do this. So he makes the eye and he like kind of cuts it in half. So now it's like a flat dome, right?
Yeah.
And he like makes the outside look all like metal and corroded and everything. But he's like, how am I going to do this like red, cool eyeball? So he's walking around. He actually says, like, I was in a Hobby Lobby one day, and I saw, like, these fake jewels.
That's cool.
And I saw, like, this big ruby, and I was like, that's perfect. So he takes this ruby and, like, cuts it and, like, glues it onto the top of there, covers the whole thing in, like, this type of it's kind of like a type of epoxy or resin, that goes over it. And you look at this thing, and, yeah, like, it's basically like this Terminator looking eyeball that has a super cool like light refraction and everything because of like the fake ruby that's on there.
That is amazing. In fact, you know what? Because see, this is how my life works and the podcast is you just explaining that and me thinking about him going out of his way to make eyes like that and talk about it. You got to ask him if he wants to come on the show and talk about it.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
And you can come along with him, you know. I think it'd be a great episode to hear all about how those are done and the weird requests that he's gotten. And then maybe if anybody else out there is listening and we could figure out a way to put like electronics in there that are small enough that they don't cause a problem and then get like light up stuff like you're saying. That's a
like
great idea.
And everything. Yeah, just don't put isotopes by your brain. That could be bad.
Yeah,
that might be an issue.
That's true.
But no, I'd definitely shoot him a text. I think that'd be cool.
Just see if he's down, and if not, no pressure. You know?
Yeah.
I only want to talk to people who actually want to talk about it. But I hate it. Sometimes I think people think that I'm badgering them. Like, I need you to be on the show, and it's like, you don't have to be, but your story is really cool, and people will love hearing it. Yeah. That's the point of it. That's why you're here. Your story is awesome, man. And like the combination of that of 301 and this episode is going to be awesome for people to listen to.
Yeah.
Like simultaneously or one after sequentially. Yeah.
Exactly. This is like the part 2, you know, like maybe we add on to 301 at the very end, like the really loud to be continued.
We can go back and do that.
Oh man. But I've definitely had a lot of good times with this eye, and
that's cool that you can make it something like that where it's like you have to live with it anyway, and you might as well like explore the option of making it cool as shit.
I have a lot of friends that are just kind of like, man, you just have like stories, right? And I'm just kind of like, well, I'm just trying to have fun like, the best way I can, you know, I'm just trying to have a good time, trying not to be, not that I'm constantly depressed and trying to find a way out of it, right? But like I figured just to have a good time.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's what life is for.
Sometimes you have to let the world just world for a little bit and just enjoy the ride, you know?
100%.
And make the best of any situation that you're in. I think that's important.
Yeah.
There was another story that you mentioned before the show that you wanted to talk about. Maybe it was the urinal story.
That might have been the urinal story.
Yeah.
Well, I have another urinal story.
Okay.
So this one,
is this the one where the eye goes in the pee?
No, but I have a story where I lost my eyeball in a water fountain at a park.
That's crazy.
So I was super. Let's do that story first. Like when I was super little, I hated wearing my prosthetic. I just absolutely hated it. And so I would get rid of it every chance I got. My poor parents paid friggin' $2,000 for this thing. And this is back in, the early 90s, right? So that's a lot of money. It's still a lot of money. You get it. But we were at this park and I was just playing around, and my dad, who was still around at that time, he's like, Eric is missing his eyeball. That is $2,000 that is just unaccounted for right now.
So he's concerned about it.
He's concerned about it. My child is playing around in a filthy park with his open eye socket just all over the place. So they start looking around. They try and find it. And they're having no luck at all. And finally, like, someone just starts screaming like, super loud, and they're like, oh no. And some people might be asking, like, aren't your parents deaf? Yes, they are deaf. What they saw was the guy going, waving his arms, freaking out, right? So they go and check it out, and they just see my eyeball like floating in this water fountain where this guy went to go get a drink and saw this eyeball looking up at him like, oh no. This is just crazy.
Dude, I kind of wanted prosthetic eyeball.
I can arrange that.
If they're expensive, like I'll put it on the mantle out there where we have all our other podcast gifts.
Well, when I have a new eye made, I'll get you one.
Okay,
I'll donate that.
I'll put it out there and I can watch everything that happens.
Yeah.
But it is kind of weird because I get how it would catch people off guard, because I think everybody's aware of prosthetic eyes and that they exist. Yeah. But like, just the putting yourself in his shoes of like going down to take a drink out of a water fountain and there's an eyeball, like,
just like looking up at you,
it's weird.
Yeah, well, I've kind of thought about that. Like, if I'm in that position, like, I guess I have a biased like position, right? Because I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just used to that, whatever. But like, I do try to think about like, what was his thought process?
Did he think he was seeing a real eyeball?
Yeah. Right. Like, does he look down and he's like, someone has been murdered. There is an eyeball. There's evidence here in this water.
We need to get the police here. This is a real eyeball. Yeah. Like, I wonder what he thought too.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the fun of the joke. Like, that's why I think I would put my eyeball in places all the time, like somebody's silverware drawer.
Oh yeah.
When they're not looking. But then again, like, you do have to probably worry about germs and stuff like that.
Yes, that has definitely been a thing. Like, if I get too crazy about it, I've had a couple friends over the years that are like, man, like, what would it take to like stick like a string like in there so you can be like boop and it like hangs on the string and everything? And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that. When I was a dumb kid in high school, I had people be like, dude, you could hide your weed like behind your eye, man. I'm like, no, that is stupid. What do you? I am not gonna do that. No way.
That's such a high school thing.
This like dirty bag behind my eye.
Yeah, and I didn't think about that too, because you don't want a bunch of germs, floating around. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, infections in your eyeballs are definitely a thing. Do not do it. Yeah. Have fun. Don't do that.
Dude, have you ever seen, like, I think it happened to one of the bartenders recently. They got an infection in their eyes, and it looked horrible.
Oh,
like,
man.
His eyes that were actually were swollen a little bit.
Yeah.
And you don't think about that because we all have eyes, but then you don't ever think about them getting an infection, and it looked miserable, dude. I'm like, what the hell would that feel like?
I've kind of wondered, like, what that's like. So, like we were talking about before the break, right? Like, I have no idea what it's like to see with two eyes, right?
Yeah.
But let's just play this hypothetical here.
Okay.
Like, if you get, like, I don't know, some crazy pink eye infection, like your eye just, like, swells up and closes and everything, like, do you basically just feel like you're just sitting with one eye closed the whole time? Like, what does that feel like? What does that look like?
I wish I had
like,
an
do your best to
you had a black eye or anything?
It feels like having sunblock in your eyes.
Kurt's got
what is that?
Have you told that story on the air?
I haven't.
Oh my gosh, this is a good one.
Oh, let's hear it. We got to hear this. This is gonna be
Can we officially mark this as the start of Kurt's Corner?
Yeah. Kurt's Corner.
Well, this isn't what I had in mind.
Well,
to
no,
talk about,
but you're just now we're in your corner.
Now
man.
we got two.
We'll talk about it. But
Kurt's rubbing his eyebrows is like if we just instantly gave him a headache.
Yeah, it's like this placebo effect that's happening right
He
now.
fucking hates this bit.
Well, it's a feeling I'll never forget. But yeah, we were up in Yellowstone, camping up there, and we were out driving around looking at all the stuff. And
that was the best Yellowstone trip that would ever happen to anybody. We've mentioned that on the show, but it was during COVID, and they just had announced that they're going to require masks in Yellowstone at the lodge and everything.
Oh.
And so everybody just like got angry and canceled their vacations. And Kurt and I were right on the verge of not going.
And
we
it was
were
right
like,
when that flood, that big flood that happened.
The river, washed the east or the
North
east entrance out. Yeah. And so everybody's like, we can't go. We're like, dude, we've been planning this for a while. Let's just do it. And there was nobody there. We didn't wait in line for shit.
That sounds amazing.
It was cool. Sorry to interrupt.
But, it was in the middle of summer, so it's super hot. So we're all wearing sunblock and whatnot. Because walking around.
We got sunburned pretty bad.
Yeah, we did. And I remember he's sweating and driving back to our campsite. And I guess somehow I got sunblock in my eyes.
Oh, man.
So I think we had reapplied it because that day I think we were walking in the like northwest end of the park, like Mammoth and the big hot springs where you got to walk for a while in the sun. It's like the boardwalk goes forever. In fact, in one of them we turned around because you could see where you'd had to walk, and it's like that's so far.
Yeah,
and we're already like 3 days in, so already sunburnt. We're already sore from walking so much. It's like, dude, let's just turn around and go back to the trailer. And so, but it's like, let's put on some sunscreen. So part of that is putting sunscreen on your face, but now you're sweating.
Yeah, you're sweating, and sweat gets into your eyes.
He's driving back.
We're driving back to and I'm like, my eyes just are on fire.
He's like, my eyes are stinging, dude. I was like, oh no, did you get sunscreen in him? He's like, I think so. And he's driving, and I'm like, are you good, dude? He's like, I might have to pull over.
But we barely made it back to the point where I couldn't see anymore, and it was so miserable.
Yeah, your eyes were super red, and even after we flushed your eyes out, like it took a while to go because when you know that you're going to be in that environment, you don't buy the shitty sunscreen. You buy the waterproof sports sunblock that's got like probably wax and things in it that makes it not wash off easily.
Oh my god!
And now Kurt's got it in his eyes.
It's in both eyes, and we get to the trailer, and I just lay down in bed and close my eyes because it feels the air on your eyes is just miserable, and I the only relief that I could get was just keeping my eyes closed, and I ended up falling asleep.
I remember Curt being like, I'm sorry, man. I'm like, dude, I'll make dinner. It's all good. Like, take care of yourself. That's it. Like, if I was in your position, I would do the same thing. That sucks.
So this is kind of a question that comes to mind. Like, if I'm just going to insert myself into your story here for a second.
Yeah.
Curt is now essentially blind. He can't drive. Like,
yeah.
Is it better that he drives with his stinging eyes or I drive? Like,
I think it was getting pretty close to the point that I would have rather had you drive. Because he was honestly like, I can't see shit, and I'm like, dude,
my eyes
you can
open,
pull over, man. Like,
we got Eric here. He'll drive.
Yeah, Eric's in the back, dude. And we're in Yellowstone. The speed limit's 25. If he hits a tree, nobody's gonna give a shit.
No one knows anything. Eric has experience with like high speed driving. It's gonna be fine.
It's gonna be fine, dude. Yeah.
What's that conversation with the police officer like? You know, it's like,
we're in an emergency. Kurt's eyes are stinging, so we made the blind guy drive. It was the best option we had, officer, and it seemed like the most fun at the time.
Yeah, it seemed like the most fun. We were having a good time. We've made that joke a couple times if I've been like at a bar with a friend or whatever, right? Like we obviously will Uber or whatever, but we make that joke a couple times. It's like, so what happens if you do drive somewhere and you like accidentally have too much to drink? Like, what do we do like at that point, right?
Yeah.
It's like, we just call an Uber. Well, that's not fun, man. Like, come on, like,
that's totally true.
Okay, I've got another idea. So I've always had this idea that I've wanted to go through a DUI checkpoint.
Okay. Yeah.
In a right-hand drive car.
I remember telling me this.
With somebody who is just
destroyed.
Just destroyed, sitting in the it's now the passenger seat, but it's normally the driver's seat.
And then the guy in the left side passenger seat is also destroyed and thinks he's the one driving.
Yeah,
I'm the one driving. Why are you harassing him?
You put in a fake dashboard.
Yeah, you put in a fake dashboard, even like a fake steering wheel.
2 steering wheels, dude, just throw them off.
Yeah. But now the other one is now you put a blind guy in the what would normally be the driver's seat.
Yeah. Yep.
It's great. I think that there's like many YouTube sketches we could film like that.
I think one of my favorite like experiences, like I used to take like UTH buses all the time, right, when I was young. But anyway, there was this driver that I always knew. He'd pick me up by UVU. There was this very popular stop there. And there was this day he pulls up. I'm like, oh, hey, man. And he's like, hey, yeah, everyone get on. So all these people get on, and I'm just sitting up in the front, and I notice he walks back. He's like, all right, get up there. I'm like, what? So I did. I got up in the seat and everything, and we had a good time. And he was like, all right, I'm done stretching. Get out of the seat. I'm like, ah.
Did he let you drive?
No.
Oh, he just
he let me
just
sit
let you
there.
sit
And
there.
I'm
That's
like,
cool.
ah, sweet. Let's
Dude,
do this.
that's like everybody's dream, man.
Yeah.
I think it would be very tough to be a public transit bus driver. I'm sure that's not like a glorified job by any means, but that's cool. You gotta have fun,
Yeah,
have fun with your job.
Yeah. That same driver almost let me like ride on like the front little bike rack that I had.
That's
outside.
sweet.
I was like, oh, let's do this.
Yeah.
Like the next
He
place we're
hits
going to
something,
is
and then
I-15.
you get to make that joke again. But Eric didn't see that coming.
Anyway, I totally interrupted you, Curt. Sorry, we're doing Kurt's
still
Corner.
in Kurt's
Kurt's
Corner.
Corner.
What's
Still
up?
on that.
Kurt's
My bad.
Corner. Chaz, you gotta
Speaking of not being able to see anything, Eric.
Yes.
Oh shit! This is. You showed me this before. This is
no.
funny.
So you and I played mini golf.
Yep.
Last month.
That's right, we did.
On an event that we went
You
to.
kicked my ass, yes.
Well, and you were making some pretty good shots.
Oh, thank you.
That or I suck.
A blind guy
Let's
beat you
go.
at mini
Let's
golf.
go with the first. That makes me feel a little better.
But yeah, you were doing pretty well, and and because of that, I wanted to question the validity of your blindness.
Okay.
So I've got
fair,
up here
fair.
on the screen right behind you is an actual eye test, and I want you to read line 6 for me.
Line shit. How do I know which one is line 6? Okay. Hold on. I think it's that one. Kind of looks like a 7. So let's go. Let's go S D. That might be a T or an F. I have no idea.
Do you want me to zoom in on it?
Yeah. If you
It's funny
enlarge
because it's
enlarge.
actively.
Oh wow, that is.
It's
very
moving
big.
around. It's like a fucked up eye test.
Oh man. Okay. Yeah, that's definitely line 7 there. How wrong was I? Scroll down.
You
a little
weren't.
bit. Let's scroll down a little bit. There we go. Oh, that was kind of close. So
You were, yeah.
T-E-L-O.
Yeah, you're blind.
Yeah, I'm blind.
So just for the listener, you can't see this, but on the screen, this eye test is a GIF. And it's actively moving and blurring the letters out.
I had no idea.
Yeah, it's like purposefully making it impossible. We wouldn't give you just a
We wouldn't give you a
wouldn't
real
give you a
eye
real
test.
eye test,
Those are
dude.
for the regular people.
We needed to challenge you, man.
Yeah.
Curt showed me this before, and I was like, "That's what I call a good bit."
That was good. That was fantastic. Oh man, you know what's crazy is like I would interpret for my mom sometimes, like if she needed to go and do something. So like we'd go to the DMV and she'd need an interpreter, like just someone to sign.
Yeah.
Thankfully, you don't need to see that well to interpret, right? You just need to hear.
Yeah.
But every time I would go and I'd see like the little box that has like the eye test in it, I'm like, come on, if I can pass this, like just give me a license.
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
just let me go for it right now.
That is kind of the rule.
Yeah, one lady did let me do it, and she's kind of like, well, technically you could get a restricted license. You just need a doctor's note. Like, fuck. There's no way I'm getting that.
I feel like there should be something that we do for you. Like, I wonder if there's a way we can work with Utah Motorsports Park and just say, we'll just get a beater, so if you hit anything, it's not really a problem.
Yeah.
But like, we can just take you out to the racetrack, dude, and just let you go for the day and just love it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I think you'd do fine because you've driven before.
Yep.
Even though you're not supposed to. It seems like you didn't hit anything then.
Yeah, no one died.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's perfectly. The liability isn't that high.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, and we can. I don't know. Maybe we pay a little extra for insurance or something. How do you insure a blind guy driving? I don't know.
Yeah.
Geico, reach out. We can work this out. But I think that'd be cool. There's got to be somebody out there that would let you, like, I don't know, like maybe we just enter you into a demolition derby because then it doesn't matter.
Then
You're
can
supposed
hit
to
whatever
hit.
you want, and it's fine.
Yeah. That would be.
I would love to do like one of those
Eric
like, trophy
wins.
trucks. And
That would be fun.
He's like, I can hear where you guys are all at. Like, you're not hiding from me, dude.
I know where you are.
You might be like a weird, awesome race car driver or something.
Who knows?
Yeah,
You
gotta
like,
try it.
maybe I have a career in NASCAR. Like, who knows?
They basically drive themselves.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Look, I just have to go in a loop. Okay,
You only got to turn left.
Super easy, dude. For some reason, there's a NASCAR driver listening that's like, these guys are assholes.
yeah,
dude.
it's like, okay, way to make fun of my career again.
I think that on the last episode, have you ever been skydiving?
I haven't, but that is.
It's too scary for the dogs.
What?
Yeah, what?
Oh my God.
Is that a service animal joke? I can't tell. You did that in front of Eric's service animal, dude?
Like, wow.
He can't see that he doesn't have one, but
Oh,
sorry.
hitting these wounds here. I almost did I ever tell you? I don't know if I mentioned this last episode. I almost had a service dog.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I almost had one.
You kind of wish you did?
I kind of, especially because of the name of the dog. So
Okay.
like they kind of like brought me in, like, you know, you meet some of the dogs and see which one like you pair with, right?
Yeah.
The one I was pairing with really, really well, his name was Radar, right?
Oh, I love
That's
that.
a cool
That is
ass
cool.
name for a seeing eye dog.
Radar is a cool ass name.
Yeah,
I
right?
think that's perfect.
But no, unfortunately, the dog got to go to someone else, and then I apparently am not disabled enough to have a dog.
Oh man, that's crazy. Now we're getting into weird territory where it's like they get to determine how disabled you are.
It's like, I'm sorry. Do you want to like put one of these eyes in and see what it looks like? Like, is that going to help you guys? No, but they're good.
And it's crazy that they let you like get like
attached
to a dog, and then like, sorry, dude,
Maybe
we're
that
just
was
kidding.
like part of like the whole like we're gonna get you ready for the world. Get
Maybe
attached
it
to
was.
this dog.
Maybe it was. This is how the world works. Do you love this animal? Yeah, and I love the dog's name. Well, he's not yours. You're just like, you just get mad and throw your eye at him.
I don't know. At that time, I still had like the cane and everything. That just
Oh yeah, dude, you would be crazy. We like be a pimp for Halloween, dude, with the cane and everything.
you know, like I'm pretty sure.
We
like,
get you a velvet eye.
I'm pretty sure like real world pimps out there have like blind man canes too. You know, like,
Yeah.
that's exactly
Totally.
what that is.
Yeah,
you know? Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah. I just need giant rings and a velvet eye, as you said. You know, like,
Velvet eye would be sweet, although probably not very hygienic.
Yeah,
if
no,
we're honest.
that
Velvet hangs on to stuff.
You know what's kind of crazy is like I actually really hate like the feel of like velvet or
Yeah.
like cotton balls. So like now I'm just picturing what it would feel like to have like velvet in my eye socket, and I hate it.
Yeah, it's kind of creeping me out actually too.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like the feeling of that. Like I'm trying to imagine what it'd be like if I felt that in my eye socket. It just feels like it would be
Yeah.
weird.
I do want to take a quick moment and thank Curt for giving me a certifiable eye test just now. So yeah,
It's almost like the joke was. That's why I love you, dude. Because like you can't see already, and then he gave you an eye test that's like.
it's just
That's
rigged.
blurry
It's
and
just
moving
all rigged.
around and shit. And you couldn't even see the joke that we were making,
couldn't
so like
even
I
see
felt
it.
bad. but then I know it's you, and you're like game for that type of thing because like you're just down to laugh.
I'm
man.
curious what that was like internally for you. Was there this conflict where you're like, guys, we
was.
are doing this? Like,
It was.
am I going to hell? Like,
Yeah, I did. I struggled for a minute, but then I remembered it's you, and we've had very honest conversations
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
that's
Am
cool.
I going to hell? Yeah, I've already purchased my condo on the
Oh,
ninth
okay.
inner circle.
Well, you need it after doing that eye test, man.
they might be moving you down to another ring. Like,
You might be in the 10th circle, dude. That's the luxury apartments. But that's one thing that I like.
Oversees the lake of frozen souls.
That's on fire somehow. That's what I like about you. I think I said this last episode, but talking with you is like pretty inspiring, and I hope that people understand that too, because I mean, you had to deal with a lot, you know, growing up, and I'm sure a lot of bullying and things like that,
yeah.
and you've come out of it with such a good outlook on life, man, and like the ability to laugh and like be yourself is awesome. It's super inspiring. You know what I mean?
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I do, and yeah, there's certainly been challenges, right? Like I think I've been fortunate to have a really good community that's been there to help me out when I actually do need help with something, right? And
Yeah.
had cool people like you guys who are interested in hearing my crazy adventures.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. I
so,
absolutely love it. Like I said, we've talked about doing a live show, and if we ever do, man, you got to be there.
Yeah,
Meet the people,
100%.
man. They
I
would love you.
to do it. That'd be great.
We're working on. I'm still working on that, but I don't know. I'm also scared to do that. That's like
Oh,
one of
yeah.
those things where it's like, if I schedule it, will anybody show up? I'm sure some of you guys will.
I'll be there.
If not, then we'll just have fun by ourselves, dude.
I'm sure we know enough people that we can get at least a decent.
I think we
little
could
crowd.
sell probably 10 tickets. You know.
I will definitely be there. But speaking of people who aren't here, like Laura, I miss you. Where
Yeah,
are you?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I want you to know, Laura, I still have that sticker that you signed, serial number 1. It sits at home in a place of honor.
Limited edition, one of one, Lara signed.
Yeah,
sticker.
that's it, right? Yeah. So come back.
Yeah, all right. Well, we miss you.
I miss you.
Yeah, I do too. I think that the show benefits by having a female around, because if not, we boys degenerate into
That's kind of like
degenerates.
our thing, yeah.
We just, and what's crazy is if Laura was here, we would have talked about poop already, But she's
Interesting.
not. So
Okay.
we always,
Maybe.
somehow we always get on the subject of poop with Laura. Like, I don't know why. I think it's
makes
because
her uncomfortable.
It makes her uncomfortable.
Is she going to like endocrinology or something? Like,
No.
okay.
She just, every
okay.
time we talk about poop, she goes, "Stop it, guys." And then we just don't want to because
So
she
you just
told us to
keep
stop.
Oh, man.
She's a
Crazy.
good sport. Thank you so much, dude, for being here.
Yes, thank you.
I'm
Thank
sure
you.
we will have you back again in the future. And keep up with the music.
I will, man.
Do
Thank
you guys
you.
have anything else that you want to talk to Eric about? Did you have anything, Curt?
Nope,
Left
I'm
on your
good.
list? Ches, you
You
got any
good?
more of
You
those
good?
questions?
No, I got my couple questions.
right.
Are you have all your questions are done?
Oh,
Okay.
I do have one more
okay.
question.
All right. Sweet.
So we did talk the last time. A story came up about some blind guy that got hit by a car, and then got his sight back. And you talked like, well, maybe I ought to try that one again because you said you did get hit by a car
I
once.
did, yeah,
I would
so-
say if you've gotten hit by a car again and see if that helped.
I remember that story.
I haven't, thankfully, in some senses, thankfully, mostly from the physical injury aspect. But you are correct. I do need to chance that and see if I get my sight back.
yeah, dude. Some of those, life works in mysterious ways,
Life
man.
works, as Jeff Goldblum said, life finds a way.
Yeah.
So,
You guys dig up dinosaurs?
Yeah, it's like in Christmas Vacation. I don't know. Falls down a well, eyes go across. Get kicked by a mule, they go back straight.
Yeah, you never know, dude. I think we can't discount anything at this point in life. Like, it's very complex, and I mean, the right hit in the right place on your head might make all the difference.
who knows? Yeah. Like maybe I'll get smacked like by a bus or something, grow a new eye. You never know.
Get your sight back, but you end up deaf.
Oh, what a twist! What a twist! Oh man, no, I can't remember if I talked about this last time, but legitimately, like as a kid, there was a moment where I saw a commercial for like lutein, and if you don't know what this is essentially the stuff that's in carrots, right? And it's good for your eyes, right? But being a small child, I was like, I could grow a new eye. I just need to eat enough carrots. So I asked my mom to buy all the baby carrots, and I was just eating them like crazy. And one day she did ask me, she was like, hey, like, what's
you
with
eating all
this,
these
right? I'm
carrots?
like, I'm going to grow a new eye. And she never corrected me. Ever. She was just like, he's eating vegetables.
Dude, yeah.
We're taking it.
He's eating the
We're taking
vegetable.
this win.
We got to let him think he's growing his eye back. Man, that's a cool story.
Oh,
dude.
man.
Well, thank you again for being here.
Thank you,
We'll have
guys.
Eric back again, of course. But this has been the Weekly InSalt. Heck yeah. Dude, I love these episodes. I never laughed so hard, man. It's like, I wish we knew a guy in a wheelchair that was like as cool as you. So we could just talk and make him do wheelies and stuff.
Well, I will say, like, round 2 of the show, at least it's easier for me to find my way out of the studio.
That's true. You felt your way around.
Yeah, no,